Alright, so Captain America Civil War is finally here. It is probably one of the most anticipated films of 2016, but is it the Marvel Cinematic Universe gem that we were all hoping for? Let's talk about it.
Stay down. Final warning. I could do this all day.
Captain America Civil War is directed by Anthony Russo, who also directed what I think has been the greatest film in the Marvel Universe so far, Captain America the Winter Soldier, and it stars basically the entire Marvel Universe, minus Chris Hemsworth as Thor and Mark Ruffalo as Hulk, and it has the new additions of Daniel Bruhl as Baron Zemo, Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther, and Tom Holland is the new Spider-Man. Basically, the plot of this movie is that after the events of the Battle of New York, Washington, D.C., and Sokovia, the government has had enough of the Avengers and they decide they need to be held accountable for their actions. They come to them with something called the Sokovia Accords, which states that our heroes need to be registered with the government and only they can decide when the Avengers are needed to stop certain threats. Steve Rogers and Tony Stark disagree with this, Iron Man is for it, Captain America is against it, and then all the other characters start choosing sides thereon, hence the Civil War. A movie like this is very easy to screw up, and in order for it to work, you need three things. One, the physical but more importantly, psychological battle needs to be at the forefront of the film and not a small portion of the movie. Two, all the characters need to be important to the story and contribute their own thing to the story instead of it being just a 2-hour extravaganza with a bunch of shoehorned appearances from superheroes. And three, this is the big one, all the characters' motivations need to be clearly explained. That is the most important thing for a movie like a Civil War between heroes. And this film checks all three of those boxes. Captain America Civil War is quite possibly the best Marvel Universe film we've had to date. What I love the most about this movie is that, yes, it's a great action movie with some of the best sequences and most well-directed action that Hollywood has to offer right now, but at its core, it's a film about family and vengeance and the balance between those two things. What the Russo brothers do so well is balance these amazingly well-directed action sequences with an emotionally powerful story, so when the action happens, and yes, there's some of the best action in superhero history in this movie, but when it happens, you're more emotionally invested in it because you care about these characters and their motivations are clearly explained. And to be completely honest, there wasn't one scene or character moment that felt forced or gratuitous in this movie. Everything served purpose to the story and developed what was going on. Going into this movie, you probably think you're on like Team Cap or Team Iron Man. Like, I actually felt like I agreed with Team Captain America at the beginning of this movie, but I can tell you right now, if you think you're on one of these sides, that's gonna change because they do such a good job at explaining both sides of this argument that they make so much sense to a point where you have no idea what side you're on. You will flip-flop during this movie, I can guarantee it. Also, I want to give credit to the Russo brothers for adding such a sense of realism and maturity to the Marvel Universe, because think about it. If we live in a world where superheroes are running around with otherworldly powers all the time, something like this will eventually happen where the government gets involved, and the political aspects of this movie are sold to you so well. This movie actually enlightens you to the fact that during things like the Battle of New York, where you're just rooting for the Avengers all the time, people are dying through the destruction that the Avengers are causing, and it's their fault. It's actually something that a lot of people have never really thought of, and you really understand why people are afraid and why the government feel like they need to do this. Now let's talk about some of the characters, because there's actually some really good new ones in this movie. First off, Black Panther, or T'Challa, played by Chadwick Boseman, knocked it out of the park. I thought he gave a terrific performance in this movie, and I can't wait for his solo film. First, it was kind of weird hearing Chadwick Boseman talking in an African accent, and I'd never heard that before, but that's probably because I'm just so used to hearing him talk as James Brown or Jackie Robinson. But anyway, you could really tell that he understood the character of Black Panther, and he nailed it. I cannot wait to see more from him. And next, let's talk about the one that everybody's talking about, Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and I really do not think we've had a good incarnation of Peter Parker and or Spider-Man in the last 12 years since Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. Guys, Tom Holland's Spider-Man merely brought me to tears. He is by far the best Peter Parker and Spider-Man we have ever had. Don't get me wrong, I love Tobey Maguire so much, but I really think Tom Holland is like just about here and Tobey Maguire is about here, because that might just be the Russo brothers' take on this character that I love so much. In this movie, he's just like a dirt poor kid who can't afford a cool superhero costume, who's a dumpster diver that literally has a computer from like 1986. How great is it that we're actually seeing a Spider-Man who's a freshman in high school? The reason I love Spider-Man so much is because in this world of like big, buff, over-the-top superheroes like Superman and Batman, they have all these traumatic pasts and aren't afraid of anything. Spider-Man is just a kid, and he's the superhero that kind of said to like little nerds like us, hey, you guys can be heroes too, which is cool. He has always been, for me, by far the most relatable superhero. And in this movie, he has some of the best lines and the best moments in the entire 2-hour runtime. The chemistry between him and Tony Stark is perfect. It is exactly what I wanted to see. Tom Holland, great job. I cannot wait to see the next Spider-Man movie. I will probably be sitting in the theater crying. God, I'm such a frickin' nerd! So I've been hearing a lot of people complain about the villain, Baron Zemo, in this movie, played by Daniel Bruhl. And I really don't see why. He's not some amazing, incredible villain that you think about like weeks after you see this movie, but he doesn't have to be. The core of this movie lies in Tony Stark and Steve Rogers and their psychological battle. And the best kind of villains are the ones that make sense. And with Baron Zemo, you understand his motivations just like every other character in this movie. They develop him very well. And when I say the best kind of villains are the ones that make sense, I don't mean that you necessarily condone their actions, but you can get behind their motivations and understand why they're doing the evil things that they're doing. And Baron Zemo was that for me. Sure, he's not some like huge villain like Thanos that just wants to take over the whole world, but this movie's such a self-contained and small film that it really doesn't need a huge villain, you know? Like I said, every character in this movie has such great moments, and there's some moments with even smaller characters like Vision and Scarlet Witch that are just so damn emotional. And also, Ant-Man in this movie. Perfect. What they did with his character, I loved the heck out of, and Paul Rudd is just once again hilarious as Scott Lang, and there's a very nice surprise that goes along with his character that I will not spoil for you. So, of course, this movie relies on the physical and psychological battle between Captain America and Iron Man, and in terms of the physical battle, like I said before, this is some of the best directed action in cinema right now, so that's that. But the mental conflict, that is the key ingredient to this movie, because if the mental conflict is not there and it doesn't feel needed, then it's not a civil war. So let me tell you, the last 30 minutes is basically where all this stuff takes place, and I was sitting on the edge of my seat like this the entire time. I swear, the finale of this movie is probably one of the best things Marvel has ever put to screen, and that's when you know the directors of this movie have done such an amazing job. When you care so much about these characters that when the action is going on, you're so emotionally invested in it that you're on the edge of your seat the entire time. So guys, really in the end, Captain America Civil War was exactly what I wanted. It brought some very mature, grounded themes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It had a great emotional core with these characters that we've been seeing on screen for the past 8 years now. And it introduced some great new characters like Black Panther and Spider-Man that I can't wait to see more of. Captain America Civil War is by far one of the best comic book films I have ever seen, and it's all thanks to the Russo brothers who did such a terrific job directing this. You know what? I'm doing it. Captain America Civil War gets a 10 out of 10. Alright everybody, have you seen Captain America Civil War? What did you think about it? Comment below. I really would love to hear your thoughts. I really want to get in conversations about this movie. And thank you so much for watching my very first movie review on this new channel. Next week, Uncharted 4 will be coming out, as well as Deadpool on Blu-ray. Hopefully I'll get reviews of those very soon. I'm very interested to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments, so let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you next week. Bye.